Hello, everyone, and cheers to Wednesday evening. Thank you for joining us. I hope you've had a moment to get a bite to eat, or if you're eating dinner right now, awesome. Um, my name is Kat, and I'm a health technology coach at Doctors of BC. And what that means is I support clinics and physicians across BC with their use of technology in their practice. So my portfolio includes Oscar and all of the different versions of Oscar. So for today's demo, though, we do use a test environment, a sandbox, and our sandbox is Oscar Pro. So there is a feature at the end that we are going to go over, which is an Oscar Pro specific feature. So with that being said, I want to be mindful of giving an opportunity for questions when we go through each of the sections. So I'll make sure to pause before going to each section. So in case that you'd like to leave before the Oscar Pro specific feature, because it does not pertain to you. So with that being said, let's jump into it. We're just going to cover the Oscars template manager. So how to create, edit, delete, and use templates in Oscar. Now, to set the expectation, compared to other EMRs, such as MedAccess or Kuro, for example, those are the top two that are coming to mind. Oscar template is very basic. It's a text-based structured template. So other EMRs can pull in certain information, like last lab result, for example, in their encounter note templates. In Oscar, it's mostly a structured format of text and prompting questions. So we'll get into that right away. Now, there is some caveats with that, with other tools and technologies that exist, but we'll dive into that later. So with Oscar's encounter note template, there are two ways that you can view it and access and edit the templates. So first way is through the administration panel, and we will start there. So I'm just going to click on administration. And then under eChart in the middle, if you expand it and click on insert template. Here, this is the template manager. I don't know if that's the correct Oscar terminology, but that's what I call it. And then this section here, if you're wanting to edit an existing template, you would search for it in this drop-down menu. In the drop-down, what you see here is all of your clinic's templates that either other users have added or it came with your Oscar. Most of the capitalized template names came with your Oscar. So your list might be quite long. And I know free time is a rare commodity for healthcare practitioners or even administrative staff. But I do recommend if you do have an admin day coming up and you'd like to clean up your template library, I'd recommend as a clinic or as a group to review what is needed or what can you delete, because this is, I'll call it noisy. There's a lot of templates here, and if your clinic doesn't use them all, then might as well clean it up. Of course, that's if you have time and capacity, which I know comes as, yeah, like I said, a rare commodity. So let's say you do want to delete a template. I would just go ahead and let's say click on bronchitis acute and click edit. The minute that I see the template name and then the template content here, I can delete it by clicking this. And then it doesn't give you, are you sure you want to delete it? So make sure you really do want to delete it because there's no going back once you have done that. Now, if you want to edit a template, so let's say I'm actually going to go to the templates that I've created, and I have one existing already, and it's a soap. So I'm going to click on it and then click edit. This is not very nice. It's just soap in a vertical format, and I could probably make this a lot better in terms of structure and format. So for example, I have this here, and if I do that, this is a little text structured format, and there's different ways you could go about this, I'm sure, but this is just one example. So once I've done my changes to my template, I scroll down and then click Save. So that's how you delete an existing template or edit an existing template. But let's say you want to add a template. How you do that is just scroll down and then create your template name. Now, in terms of your template name, I would encourage you to think of a template name that's on the shorter side and easy to remember, because there's two ways you can trigger a template in your encounter notes section. And so one of them is a keyboard shortcut versus another one is through a search. So keeping it nice and short and concise is very beneficial. So, and if you are in a clinic that is a multi-provider clinic and who are all using templates, I would recommend starting with initials, for example, because then that could group all your templates together. So I'm going to write a KG test. I'm going to say, hello world. How are you? This is very clinically relevant, but once you've entered your template structure, all of your prompting questions, depending on the topic, you click Save. So I will say, in terms of template management in Oscar, it is very simple, very straightforward. And in terms of how we're going to use the templates now, we'll go into the patient's chart and I'll show you how we're going to use them. So I'm going to close out of the administration panel. And then I'm going to go into the eChart. My good old test patient, Naruto Uzumaki. So in the encounter notes section here, you'll see the template drop-down menu here. Now, I often get physicians or new users confused, thinking that this is how you trigger the template, but I just want to reemphasize this. When you click on here, it's gonna pop up the template manager window that we were just in. So it's not to use the template, it would be to edit the template. So this is the second way you can edit or delete existing templates in your system. So this could be a good way too, because if you don't recall the name of the template in your system, this could be the first step to review what was that template name and scroll through the list. So for example, cellulitis, this is where the add and delete template and where you can make edits to it and then save. Very similar to the administrative window that we were in before. So then to actually trigger the template to appear in your encounter notes section, you would use the search field here. It has multiple utilities, one of them being to trigger a template. So if I want to trigger one of my templates, I'm going to go ahead and do my KG, and I have a couple different template options. So I want to trigger my KG soap. And then this is how the soap note format is now in my encounter note. Another way that you can trigger a template is when you are in the encounter note, and I do believe this is an Oscar Pro specific shortcut. Please correct me if anyone's on OpenOSP or Juno. Please give this a try and see if it works for you too. But if you have to know the full template name, and that's why I said keeping it short and concise would be a good idea. But if I type out KG soap, and then I use the backslash right after it. So right now I just showed you which symbol, because at first I was using the /, which was my mistake. So using the backslash after you type out the template, it will trigger the template. So what I mean by that, so now I'm gonna spell out KG soap, and then I'm gonna click the backslash on my keyboard, and it automatically triggers the template, except for I think there's something funny happening. It might be recognizing another soap template. Oh, it is. Oh, okay. So what's happening is the shortcut is not recognizing the kg underscore soap. It's recognizing only a soap template, which must exist here. Yeah. So I guess consider that in terms of naming your template. If there's any that end with the same name, then it might get triggered by accident. So, but let's try one that most likely will not trigger another template by mistake. And this is an LFP visit. The reason why there's a template like this is I've supported a physician who was trying to separate their LFP services compared to their dermatology services. So this was just an approach that he decided to go with. So I forget what the other one was called, but triggering it from here, it looks like it's the safest bet. But I'm curious, Dr. John Yap or Dr. Chang, can you trigger the templates via the keyboard shortcut in OpenOSP or other?
I'm a well user, but Herb, you're OpenOSP.
I'll give it a try. I don't think
Okay.
I've ever done it that way, but I've never tried it, so I'll try it.
Okay, awesome. Get back to me. No rush on that though.
It does illustrate how important it is to carefully and uniquely name
Mhm,
each item. And for those who hate scrolling down an endless lists menu, you notice that they're alphabetical, sorted alphabetically.
mhm.
Just type the first letter in what you think is the start of the phrase, and it'll jump to that letter. It's always been a problem with me because I'm Y at the very end. So I just type Y and it just jumps down to the Ys. Keep typing, it does only takes the first character. So you click Y multiple times and you get all the Ys.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And while we're here, in case you didn't know the other two utilities for the search bar, you can also quickly trigger a new eForm. So for example, if you're wanting to pull up a lab rec, or create a new lab rec for a patient, you can do so by whatever the name is in your system for the lab recs. You can search for the beginning of that name. And as you can see, we have multiple lab recs in our system, which might be true for your system as well. But when you click on the result that says new, it will trigger the eForm to be created. And then you can fill it out like that. So you save a little bit of clicks that way. The third utility is reviewing previously documented eForms. So as you can see, you see the new, which these are all of the different lab recs in our system, but you'll notice that there's some with dates, and these are historically documented lab recs. So if you're wanting to quickly review an old lab rec with a standing order, for example, you can go ahead and click on this to review exactly what was ordered, your notes, so on and so forth. So this little search bar is to trigger templates, to trigger a new eForm, or review old eForms. So that's template management at its basic form. So how to create, edit, delete, and use templates in Oscar. Mostly text-based, structured formatting, but I encourage you to review the list that you have in your Oscar, delete those that you are not using as a clinic, and when you are naming the templates themselves, be concise and mindful of the other different titles that exist already. Dr. John Yap.
So I posted some of the frustrations with the system as it's built. I mean, it is a system. It's just not as refined as it ought to be. Just note that this template system works only here, only in your eChart, only in the progress notes.
Yeah,
Cannot be
thank you.
used in eForms, cannot be used in consultations. Nowhere else it can't, use it in Microsoft Word. Whereas if you use a dot text editor expander of any
Mhm.
sort, it's usually application agnostic. You can use it anywhere. And Herb and I have been using various ones. The last one he put me onto is called Espanso, which I use extensively.
That's a really good point. Thank you for highlighting that. And that's something I did miss to mention, that this is specific to encounter notes only. So thank you for highlighting another good use case for dot phrases and text expanders. Does anyone have any questions about templates before we jump to the rich text editors?
I'm not seeing anything just yet in the Q&A box. We can give it a moment and allow people to type their questions if they have any.
I'd like to just say Expanso is you can use it in Macs, Linux, Windows, right? So it's not limited to one operating system.
And is it an application that you download to your system, or is it a web browser?
No, it's a program that you download, and then you create the different shortcuts, and then you can copy and paste those and into all your, if you're running a Windows system at work and a Mac at home or whatever, right? So you don't have to relearn different shortcuts.
Yes, exactly.
It,
Well, thank
it,
you for
it,
sharing.
it is free. It does require some, a little bit of programming, and it's a lot of copy and paste and adapting. And you can easily share them with others. If you create a nice text string boilerplate, you can copy and paste into your own system or just give the entire file to someone to share with. But you do need to load it up in every device that you use.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that, because one thing that we meant to highlight as well is, if you're curious about the different like dot phrase expanders or text expanders or AI scribes, and you're trying to decide, or what one is the right one for me in my clinic, given maybe my tech literacy or my comfort levels with technology, or what I need because I am very technical, please engage with our program for with the Doctor's Technology Office, because we can connect you with peer mentors such as Dr. John Yap or Dr. Chang, or we can also work with you because we do have health technology liaisons to help figure out what are your needs, and we can point you in the right direction of which technologies other physicians and clinics have used across BC and they have had good experiences with. So thank you both for sharing your experiences.
Nothing in the Q&A box. So if you want, feel free to advance to the next section, and if anything comes up, we can always tackle those at the end.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.